Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you. We're happy that you guys are here with us tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Share the live, folks. Smash that emoji. But wherever you're joining us from, Deborah Clark, Winell and Karen, Lynette Finance, good to have you there. Wayne Cusnu, good to have you there as well. Early Abrams, we see you too. Shurwayne Holder, we see you, Shireen, and all the other wonderful folks who are joining us this evening. Michelle Lowe, Virginia, welcome. All the other good folks who are joining us, welcome in the ring. We are happy that you guys are here with us. Folks, we are happy, 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 happy. We just wanted to let you know, folks, tremendously happy that you folks are here with us. Another week, folks, another week. We missed the morning program. We had some technical difficulties, and we had to be also running off an assignment just afterwards. We counted as a loss this morning, folks, and we recouped where we could have. But good to have you folks here now with us. We got a lot we have to get through tonight. We have a lot we have to cover. Welcome, share the live, folks. Smash that emoji button as well, wherever you're joining us from. Rock and come in, Verlin Ward. Wilson Blue, Lester Williams, good to have you there. Roxanne Adessa Jacobs, good to have you as well. And Pam Halls here too. Folks, share, 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 share the live. Do us that big, humongous favor. Smash that emoji button. Of course, you don't have to. But if you find any value in our program that keeps you coming back again and again, we encourage you. We implore you. We prevail upon you. Share the live, folks, and smash that emoji button. It's gonna do us the world of good. Yep, yep, yep. We ready to get into it, folks. We are fired up and we are ready to go. We got the fight card set. It's just a couple of you who are missing. You were holding me up, but folks, we can't wait forever. As I said, good to see each and every one of you, folks. Pace and power, pace and power. Good to have you all here with us. You all know where we're going next, folks. You know the broadcast. You've got a good sense. Where we going next? Here is where we are, folks. Here is where we are. The opener today begun the 46th Conference of the Caribbean, the Americas, and the Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. It occurred under the theme Democracy Challenges Facing Modern Parliaments, folks. And speaking on behalf of the leader of the opposition, giving remarks, very comprehensive remarks on behalf of the leader of the opposition, was our friend, our brother from another mother, we boy, Ganesh Mahipaul. Let's start with Ganesh this evening as the opener. Good folks. Wherever you're joining us from, take a look. Share the damn light, no man. Shucks. Smash that emoji button too. Ganesh Mahipaul. This is some of what Ganesh said. Let's come back. Let's come back. We want to hear it. We want to hear it good. We want to hear it well. No false starts this evening. So let's pull that one back, folks. Let's pull it back. Let's pull it back. Let's pull it back. And then let's give you guys the real thing now. Let's give you folks the real thing now. Pace and power.
The challenges facing modern parliaments are many, but they also present us with opportunities to build stronger, more resilient democracies. Democracy has long been heralded as the most inclusive and representative form of governance, giving voice to the people and ensuring that those in power remain accountable. However, In today's rapid evolving world, parliaments, the very institutions that are the bedrock of democratic governance, are facing unprecedented challenges. These challenges not only test the resilience of democratic systems, but also compel us to reconsider how we can strengthen and adapt our parliaments to better serve the people in an increasingly complex global landscape. One of the most significant challenges facing modern parliaments is the erosion of public trust. Scandals, corruption, and the perception that elected officials are more interested in self preservation than public service have contributed to widespread cynicism. This loss of faith in parliamentary institutions undermines the legitimacy of democracy itself. When people feel that their voices are not being heard or that their representatives are disconnected from their realities, voter apathy increases and the very fabric of democracy begins to fray. To address this, parliaments must embrace transparency and accountability, not as buzzwords, but as guiding principles. Parliamentary proceedings should be accessible, and decision making processes must be clear and open to scrutiny. By fostering a culture of honesty and integrity, parliaments can begin to rebuild the trust that is so vital to the functioning of democracy. Another pressing challenge is the growing polarization within many parliaments. Ideological divides have deepened, leading to gridlock and an inability to pass meaningful legislation. Instead of being arenas for constructive debate and compromise, parliaments are increasingly becoming battlegrounds for partisan conflicts. This partisanship hampers the ability of governments to address urgent issues, from economic inequality to climate change. To overcome this, we must reinvigorate the spirit of bipartisanship and collaboration within our parliamentary system. Parliamentarians should prioritize the common good over party loyalty, working across the aisle to find solutions that benefit all citizens. This requires a shift in mindset, one that values dialogue and compromise over victory and dominance.
Yep. That sounds interesting to me, folks. That sounds tremendously interesting. It's like you could support it. And we support that. Our brother Ganesh Mahipaul laying it out there how parliamentary democracy. That was the opener, folks. That was the opener. Thanks for joining us there. Laying out for us, as I said, how parliamentary democracies should work. And again, if you're now joining us, this was the 46th Conference of the Caribbean, the Americas, and the Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And it is happening in Georgia, and it runs up until Friday under the theme Democracy Challenges Facing Modern Parliaments. And parliamentarians from a lot of Caribbean countries, Commonwealth countries, are here, and we are tremendously happy to have them, folks. And we wish them nothing but the very best during their stay with us. That's how we do it, folks. That's how we do it. Here, one of the things here, fun said. Here, one of the things here, fun said. Let me get a little icing on the cake here as we begin, folks. Open the appetite. Here, one of the things here, fun said during this meeting here this morning. Here's something that he said.
The period of democratic denial was a painful chapter in our history, one that we reflect on, but not with bitterness, but with a resolve to ensure that such a period never repeats itself. It was a period that is instructive about the perils of subverting democracy. When democracy was returned in 1992, marked a turning point for Ghana.
Yep. The folks at the conference, they were adamant. They didn't come here to election here, but 1992, they wanted future. When Irfan started talking there, I thought he was talking about the 23 years when the PPP, the People's Progressive Party, civic administration, they denied this country 23 years of local government elections. I thought it was that denial, that democratic denial of elections that he was referring to there. That is what I thought that was about. Folks, that being said, I want to head off into it. Some of what the other things we're covering, because we are going to be talking with MP Ganesh Mahipaul, and also I'm putting you on notice, we're going to be talking with MP Shurwayne Holder as well during the course of the evening, because I want to circle back to some of what the Irfan Ali discussed there among some other pressing, very, very pressing matters. So there you have it, folks. You open up Ganesh Mahipaul, and then President Ali talking about this democratic denial. Democratic denial. That's what he said. Take a look at some of the things we're following, folks, and we're going to bring it up. We're going to deal with them with very short compass, because I want to get to my guests this evening. I really want to get to my guests. So let's deal with some of this with very, 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 very short compass. Oh my Lord, so many things happening in the back end, folks. Yeah, guys, help us if you can. Thanks. Some of the graphics, not graphics in, but we're not having it. Yeah. So let's take it from the top, folks. This is first and foremost, the GDF conducted a life-saving rescue today and evacuation. Bees attacked a gentleman in a minor in Region 7. Bees attacked a minor in Region 7, and thankfully the GDF, in their usual way that they do, came to the rescue of the gentleman. And this is, they're telling us, the Ghana Defense Force carried out a successful medical evacuation of a 56-year-old minor from a place called Macapa. Macapa, this is Region 7, and he was attacked by bees and fell seriously ill, we are being told. So sad to hear that. And Lance Corporal Mikhail Hunt came to the rescue and provided initial treatment, and recognizing the severity of the situation, he coordinated with the headquarters medical corps there to evacuate the gentleman. Due to the lack of an airstrip, a helicopter was deployed from base camp in Ghana to evacuate the patient. They're telling us that the minor arrived at Ghana in a critical state but stable condition, and was swiftly transferred to Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, where he is receiving the necessary medical attention. He almost said military attention. He's receiving the necessary medical attention. Look at the second story we're following. We're happy when we see businesses locally getting certified and moving forward. Businesses like proper GT wine. So happy to see businesses like this getting that Made in Guyana certification from the Guyana National Bureau of Standards. Businesses included this trip, 9 businesses: Flavor Spices, AJ Signs, Proper GT, Local Wines, Coconut Grove, and I think it's Ashdell Enterprises, are now proudly displaying this Made in Guyana standard of certification that says their product is at a very, very high level. We're happy for them. We're happy for them. And this, folks, this Proper GT wine, let me tell you this, right? This Proper GT local wines is real properness. So when you all go in the supermarket, you all look for it on the shelf. Proper GT wines. That's the name of it. Proper GT wines. Good. So look for that in the supermarket, folks. We're happy that Proper GT wines, Proper GT local wines, and these other businesses were all certified. Yeah. Keep on keeping on, folks. Keep on keeping on. Now, that's just some of what we're following. The other issue we're following this evening is a businessman, they're telling us, was shot dead. Was shot dead, folks. Why is that? Because crime continues to spiral in this country under the PPP. That's what's happening. Gunraj Bismat, 61 years old. He was shot and killed as bandits prevailed on him today on the Essequibo coast. He was shot dead in the early hours of this morning during a home invasion. They're telling us his wife and their adult daughter resided at the upper flat of a 2-story building, with the lower flat rented out to a Chinese restaurant. They were awakened by a noise, and as Bismat was investigating, he was shot in the chest through the louver windows by an assailant outside. And despite being rushed, unfortunately, to the Saudi hospital, he was pronounced dead on arrival there. And investigation, they tell us, are ongoing. This is what we see every single day. While Irfan at the parliamentary conference talking a bunch of nonsense. The things that should consume their attention, the facts that they should be pursuing, they're not pursuing that. They're not pursuing that. And we see that without apologies. Not an issue we're following here. They're telling us the inflation rate is going down. Folks, good folks, if the inflation rate is going down, how come? How come, folks, things are looking at as they do in the marketplace? Prices are high. You all know. Every Monday, Sabbath News publishes a column. How the cost of living doing with y'all? And they ask me about inflation. You know, and the prices that people pay for stuff out there. They were in Essequibo this week. Everybody, the interview said things tough, things rough, circumstances crushing them. But, you know, this administration, they're not focused on that. They want to keep going back to 1992 all the time. 1992 this, 1992 that. That is how they tend to lead this country, right? They intend to lead this country by looking in the rearview mirror. So I caught up with, we have with us this evening, caught up with Shurwayne Holder, the member of parliament from the Essequibo, because after we heard all of these folks in the Essequibo saying cost of living high, and yet this government trying to persuade us that costs for food items and so on going down, we had to touch base. We got to touch base with Shurwayne to see whether, you know, is this Sabbath News wrong or is Irfan Ali? Initially, I want to ask Shurwayne about the fact that they launched an infrastructural, unveiled, they said, a substantial infrastructural plan as we take the next government, folks, as we take the next government. Let us welcome my brother from another mother first. I tell you all, we have Ganesh who's going to be joining us this evening as well. My brother from another mother, the one and only, folks, Shurwayne Holder is joining us on this whole issue of the inflation rate and more broadly, you know, what's happening in this country economically with our people. Folks, the one and only, let's ring the bell one time for Shurwayne, man. Folks, we're privileged to have with us the one and only MP Shurwayne Holder. MP Holder, I know you're very busy on the ground there, always on the ground looking after the interests of the people. While we have your attention here, I heard on the last press conference, I think it was for the People's National Congress reform, the announcement of a very ambitious plan focused on upgrading Guyana's road networks. Talk to us a little bit about this plan.
Thanks, Sherrod, and a good night to your listening and your viewers on the whole. Yes, at the last press conference, we unveiled a plan, our infrastructure plan. Well, we gave a glimpse. I don't want to say that we unveiled this plan, the complete plan, but we gave a glimpse into what the citizens can expect from a government led by the PNCR or the APNU, any coalition or any government that we are a part of. We first criticize, of course, we often criticize the government for their lack of focus in infrastructure. They seem not to have a comprehensive plan. When we examine the PPP's whole infrastructure, the way how they go about these infrastructure projects, we find that they're marred in corruption. We find that, of course, you and I know that more than half the budget is focused on infrastructure, while there are so many other things that we believe can be focused on to develop our human capital. And so we unveiled this plan, given some details, some insight into how we would operate as the new government when we take office, and we do expect to take office in the next elections come 2025 or whenever those elections are called. The plan basically is in twofold. We intend to have inter-town or inter-city highways. Sherrod, you would know there are a number of roads now that the government seems to be boasting about. but they're not really into town or into city highways. They're more of a road just outside the town, trying to pass through a community, not really having the kind of impact that you would expect, the kind of investment to have, not having that impact that we want to see, the transformation that we want to see. For example, when we look at the diamond, this diamond to is it Mandela Highway that
Correct,
they're
correct,
boasting
correct.
about. It
The
just
Heroes Highway.
Yeah, the Heroes Highway. It just brings the traffic back into a bottleneck onto Sheriff Street, and that is still a problem. Now we will have to fix that. We will have to fix that. I would have thought, or we would have thought, that you would first have a grand highway, a proper highway, maybe, as we would think of it, maybe coming from Soesdijk all the way going down to the far ends of the East Coast, or as far as Berbice, a proper highway. So we're talking about those kinds of highways linking, and of course the second part is linking interregional highways. We said from Linden to Bartica, to across the Essequibo to Northwest. These are all real possibilities, which would serve us economically. It would open new lands for mining, for housing, all sorts of economic activities. We also said in that release that it would help us to develop climate resilience, because uh, if you understand Guyana's geography, the coastland, and what is happening across the coastland, not only in Guyana, in other low-lying areas, we have a low-lying coast below sea level. And the obvious thing to do is to invest in infrastructure inland or in the highland region. We have four what do you call it, geographical, Guyana is made up of four areas. What do you call it? The hilly sand and clay area, the low coastal plain. You have the interior savanna and the highland region. Much of Guyana is highland region, probably about two-thirds of Guyana. And so if we build infrastructure in there, and we establish new towns, new highways linking the regions, that is where the prosperity lies. And so essentially, in a nutshell, that is what we're looking to do, and that is what we're looking to provide for the people. Additionally, what we did say as well, because a lot of this is focused on economic empowerment, and in increasing the whole economic situation, improving the whole economic situation in the country. And so we're also focused on that piece of legislation that we enacted while we were in government, I believe, the last time, that 20% for small contractors.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
will be focusing on achieving just that, following the legislation, following the law, and making more and more contracts available to the smaller man. We said to women, to youths, to our indigenous people, Shara, to our indigenous people. It is a shame in this country, and I must say, happy Indigenous Month to our indigenous brothers and sisters as we're on this topic. But it is a shame that we practically don't have any indigenous contractors across this country, across the entire country. No, none of our indigenous people are actually engaged in construction, and real construction, in terms of building buildings or roads or that kind of thing. So we want to empower our people, all of our people. When you go into Afro-Guyanese, poor Afro-Guyanese communities, for example, you don't find contractors there. You don't find, it's just poor people there. We want to make them contractors as well as in the Indo. There are lots of Indo Guyanese poor communities as well. We want to see those communities on the rise, and we believe that through these highways, through these sophisticated road networks, we can get just that done, and we can do a better job. As I said at the press conference, We have a track record of building proper roads, proper highways. We've done it before. We've done much of the country's highways. And so we intend to expand on that now that we have oil money. But it doesn't mean that we will push all this money, all of our oil money solely into infrastructure. We also want to focus on other areas which we know that will make people's lives better.
Yeah. MP Holder, thank you for those thoughts. I know you said it's just a glimpse into this infrastructure plan, but I can understand why some section of the media have said it's an ambitious infrastructure plan based on all that you have said. On another tenor, MP, I know you are from the Escobar region, and every Monday, the Sabbath News publishes an article about how the cost of living is affecting people in various communities in this country. This week, they focus on Westfield, Queenstown, Essequibo. That is your area. I know you're on the ground. And for most of what the reader engages in the Sabbath News, things are tough in this country, MP Holder, based on what the residents have responded to Sabbath News with. These are hard economic times. Is this the same thing you were hearing on the ground there when you move about in region 2?
Sharon, absolutely. I must say to you that these are hard times for all of us. All of us. Sometimes I really wonder, when I go out to the market, I wonder how can the average normal Guyanese that is working $100,000 or $120,000, how do they survive? You have 2 kids, 3 kids, they gotta go to school. How do you survive? It is the same thing basically you're hearing all across the region. Queenstown is an predominantly Afro-based community, and like many other Afro-based communities, Queenstown is no different. Lots of I don't want to say poverty, but people just struggling to survive. And in fact, there is poverty. People are struggling. Once you are struggling to put food on the table, then you're in poverty at some level of poverty. And so I'm not surprised that you have that coming out from the residents of Queenstown. And this thing is not only affecting Afro-Guyanese, it's also affecting indigenous Guyanese. And I think the indigenous people are in a class by themselves as well when it comes to this cost of living. And shortly I'll talk on that. But as it relates to the coast here, on the coast, prices have increased significantly. Just recently, I had to purchase a sack of rice, and I was startled. The price moved. It jumped now from 2,400 to 2,800 just about 2 years back. Just about 2 years back. I'm talking about these little sack, the 25-pound sack of rice. Just a few years back, before we left office, or when we were about to leave office, the price there was about 1,300 or so. So it has essentially doubled under this PPP government. Oil, flour, milk. I saw the woman from Queenstown talking about milk. I'm not certain that you had the price right, because a pack of corn leaf milk, Sherrod, is not $560. It is $960. I verified that.
This is probably where it used to be in 2020.
In fact, I read the article, and I was talking to someone on it about it, and it was that person that brought it to my attention that they prefer foreign leaf milk, but the price, they can't afford it now because it's $960. So it's the same cry all across the region. In the hinterland region, Sherrod, the hinterland area or the river area of region 2, I think life is even tougher there. I was just in Karawab yesterday. I was in Karawab. It's the last major community up the Pomeroon River in region 2. And when you look at the way how the people are living there, you can observe things. You can't miss poverty. You can't miss poverty, Sharon. Look at it. I don't mean to embarrass anyone, but it is what it is. The situation, we've got to make it better. And so that is why my whole purpose of going to Karuap to see what is going on up there. And when you look at the houses, when you look at how, what they have or what they don't have, when you look at the facilities, when you listen to them, to know that they still have to go to the river and draw water there to cook, to drink, because and we're talking cost of living again, because if they could buy, there is a shop, we saw 2 or 3 shops in the river there, and water is being sold there. Potable water is being sold there, but they cannot afford that. They cannot afford that. Many of the
Correct.
persons here, even on the coast, are still depending on rainwater, and they drop a little bleach in it, and they use that. They depend on that. They're not. Most persons, I guarantee you, on the Essequibo Coast, are not using purified water because they can't afford it. So it is, there are a few persons here in a few communities that might be able to afford it, but that is very few. That is like probably 1% of the population down here. What I'm hearing on the ground too, is even the items that are not imported. I know the government like to talk about, it's imported inflation, but those things like plantains,
Like rice, we produce rice here.
rice, we produce rice. Essequibo is a
Sugar.
major producer of rice.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
um, look, even the brand, which is a waste product of the rice, it comes from that rice, the production of rice. Even bran, a lot of people here who are small farmers, poor farmers, they usually buy brand to take care of their pigs and their other livestock, meat birds. And
Mhm.
so they can't, they're struggling. Although they have a small business, they are struggling. Many of them, I know in my street here, you have about 3 or 4 single women mining pigs and chicken. And they're saying to me that, the cost of living really gone up so high. They're thinking that they might have to just stop doing even the small business that they're depending on because of the cost of certain basic items within the region. So it is a terrible, terrible situation without end. It's 4 years on. The government did come in and with a cash grant, but that is another thing
Yeah,
altogether.
yeah.
Because look, I'll tell you about the grant. Now, the grant, you and I know, we budgeted about 7 billion, 7.5 billion or so for cost of living relief. There's some other monies there for small business, aiding small business, especially, I would think, especially in agricultural small businesses, people, you try to promote that because it will help in terms of the food, the availability of food, and the cost of food. Now, coming back to that small grant, they came and they gave $100,000, but what they did is they shared it to family and friends, and who they thought were strong supporters of the People's Progressive Party, hardcore party members. Those are the persons who got. I spoke just on Friday. Was it on Friday? No, it wasn't Friday. It was Saturday. Because Friday I was in Georgetown. On Friday I spoke with a lady named Ben from Dartmouth. She's an elderly woman, a single mother. She's been selling there at the market, the Anne Regina market, for the last 30 years. She has a little stand, very little, sell bananas and oranges and so. So I usually go there just to support her because I feel her pain and I see her struggle. And I asked her if she was given the grant, and she said no. She said so, and she showed me. She said to her left, both her left and right, they were some other single women working there, and this time around, they got 2 Indo women, I must say, because we must say it as it is. And they're all friends. And they too were unhappy because they were struggling to get this grant and they now got it. Although they said to me that, it really can't do much, but they're still happy to get it. But they were shocked to know that their friend, this old woman there, just like them, struggling the same way.
Yeah.
She didn't get it, and they all of them signed up the same at the same time. So it was very clear that they're selective in the process of distributing these grants. And what they did too is to tell people like Miss Ben and others that they believe are supporters of the PNC or EFC or are not supporters of the PPP. They tell them, well, is Holder responsible to get your name, or is the counselor within the area, the PNC counselor or the AFC counselor, responsible for putting their names on this list? So if you didn't get, it's PNC fault or it's APNO or APNO AFC fault. That is how these people operate. They don't understand that we're all Guyanese and we're all struggling together in this big oil economy, this fastest growing economy that they call it. 50%, 49.7%. They said that the economy grew in the last half of the year. They made 1.5 or 1.6 billion dollars every single day of the year and counting, and they can't do something proper for these
There's where we are.
Chinese people. That's the kind of government that we have. That's the kind of caring government that we have in this country, Sharon.
MP Holder, I'm happy that you went into that about the growth in the in GDP according to the PPP. I want you to come back soon and let us explore that, because I know it touches and concerns some of these very issues that we have raised here. The mid-year finance report out of the Ministry of Finance is out, and I'd love to explore some of that with you very, very soon. So please come back. I know you're very busy. Don't want to detain you longer, and let's explore some of these other issues. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks, no problem.
All right, thank you so much, MP Shurwayne Holder, for being with us. Folks, if you're now joining us, this is we were in our discussion talking about this inflation rate. It's gone down now to 3 point something percent, 3.2%, 4% drop from where it was in June to 3.2% now. And people should be feeling a little ease in the marketplace, but they're not. Folks. Sugar. This is the mid-year report according to the Finance Ministry. Contracted by 60 point, what percent? 60.2, 60.3% sugar. Sugar, folks, 60.4% to be precise. Yeah, these folks say they can make sugar great again. Not so much. I want Ganesh Mahipaul. But before that, folks, the leader of the opposition, Mr. Aubrey Norton, recently eulogized this taller than life, larger than life figure we had in Sir Shurwayne Ramphal recently. As you know, he passed over the course of the last weekend, and we're all poor and saddened by his passing, folks. At 96, led an illustrious career in international politics and diplomacy, and earned global recognition as a result of that. That's part of what Mr. Norton said. He served as Ghana's Minister of Justice and Foreign Affairs, and which was very influential to him achieving the status of Commonwealth Secretary General, as you know. Fine, perhaps the finest Guyanese son we ever had. A larger-than-life figure looming in international politics. Was instrumental, they say, in ridding the world of apartheid there in South Africa, and we're watching all of that, folks. They said there in the statement out of the office of the leader of the opposition that Sir Shurwayne Ramphal will be fondly remembered for his instrumental role, of course, in helping to establish the CARICOM community, his leadership in regional negotiations as well, and that his legacy also includes the creation of the Ghana Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and he laid the foundation for the country's foreign policy and diplomatic success, even as the territorial dispute kind of engulfed us. That was the word I was looking for, but let it suffice, folks. Dealt with the Venezuelan territorial dispute, the Surinamese, and I think we were all better for it, having his input on these very, very grave matters, folks. So our thoughts and prayers as we bid farewell to Sir Shurwayne Ramphal. Some of the other issues we picked up on over the weekend, folks. This, my lord, millions and millions, Cocaine Central. I'm sorry we don't have a lot of time tonight to unpack on this, because I want to get to this Commonwealth Parliamentary conference happening in Guyana, and so what was said this morning, but that happened over the weekend, folks. You never find who are the intellectual authors. You know, you have 4.4 tons of cocaine. I think that's what we saw. 4.4 tons of cocaine, but you never know who are the intellectual authors. But the man who got the 2 grams, the 3 grams, is he sending away for 6, 8, 9, 10 years? But them who shipping out the 4.4 tons of cocaine, you could never find them. They can find the tunnel, they can find the boat, they can find the house. But intellectual authors, always elusive. Sad to say, always elusive. Maduro, folks, your boy Maduro to the west, his plane was confiscated today by U.S. authorities. Yep, his plane was confiscated today. You better be careful out there. Look at some of what we heard on CNN concerning this. Some of what we heard, folks.
This does not happen, obviously, every day where U.S. authorities go in and seize the plane of a head of state. But that is essentially what's happened this morning. Can you break this down for us?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the plane of Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, is now in the hands of the United States. As you can see there, those images demonstrate that it has just landed in Florida. It was seized by U.S. authorities in the Dominican Republic. That is according to multiple U.S. officials who spoke with our colleague Priscilla Alvarez about this. And how this all came to fruition, Jim, is that this plane was in the Dominican Republic in recent months. We don't know exactly why, but that presented the opportunity for U.S. authorities to work with authorities in the Dominican Republic to actually make up a plan and seize the plane. And just to give folks context, this plane is effectively the Air Force One of Venezuela. This is a plane that cost about $13 million, the U.S. estimates. It's been used by Maduro to travel around the world, to make visits, to see other world leaders and the like. It's now in the hands of the U.S. government. It's an extraordinary move. The U.S. has for years been trying to disrupt the flow of goods and finances, money going into Venezuela. For example, they have disrupted luxury cars going into the country. But we should note that this is just such a bold move because according to one of those U.S. officials who spoke with our colleague, this is unheard of and sends a signal that no one is out of the reach of U.S. sanctions.
This does not happen, obviously.
That's what we're following at that end, folks. The plane has been seized. Yeah. Some of the only plane y'all bad know we're going to see in our lifetimes. Some of this in our lifetime. Some of these same folks in orange suits. Y'all know who we talking about. We going to see them in orange suits. Folks, y'all boy. Air finale today at this 46th Conference of the Caribbean, the Americas, and the Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Y'all boy talk a set of things. Talk a set of things. He went back to 1992, rice pop, corn flour. He went back to C-Rex. He touched a whole host of things, folks. They're living so far back in the past. But some of what he said, folks, at this parliamentary conference, we didn't recognize. We didn't recognize at all about the National Assembly. Some of the things here finally talked about. Yep. Somebody talked about, we didn't recognize at all, folks. Take a listen. Take a listen. We're going to have Ganesh Mahipaul on the other side, on some of these issues and some of his presentation as well that we showed during the course of the program. As we started, we showed as the opener. But take a listen, folks, on what Irfan said. Parliamentary democracy at home. Take a look and take a listen.
Democracy is hollowed out, and the very institutions that are meant to protect the public interest are weakened. In Guyana, we have learned that when human rights are violated, when freedoms are curtailed, and when the rule of law is subverted, democracy is not only undermined, but is put at a risk of collapse. We must therefore, across the Commonwealth, reaffirm our commitment to the protection of constitutional and human rights. These rights are not mere privileges granted by the state. They are inherent in every individual and must be protected with the utmost vigilance. Parliaments must serve as the guardians of these rights, ensuring that laws are enacted and enforced in ways that uphold the dignity and freedom of all citizens. Thirdly, we must strengthen our institutions of governance Strong, independent institutions are the backbone of a healthy democracy. They ensure accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. Parliaments, as the representative bodies of the people, must lead by example in maintaining through robust oversight the integrity of public institutions. Fourthly, in most of our jurisdictions, there is an adversarial system of parliamentary democracy. On one side is the government that proposes, and on the other side, an opposition that mainly opposes. However, the fact that we embrace an adversarial system of parliamentary democracy does not mean that we must be enemies or there must be an absence of inclusion. In Guyana, we have crafted mechanisms within our constitution to ensure a greater role for the parliamentary opposition. Within the National Assembly, there are a number of oversight bodies in the opposition. Well, that is the problem with the inconvenient truth. It always echoes some response, as hollow as they may be. Within the National Assembly, I miss my parliamentary days. Within the National Assembly, there are a number of oversight bodies in which the opposition is represented. The Public Accounts Committee is chaired by the opposition. We utilize the mechanism of select committees to achieve greater consensus on legislation. We have select committees that allow for contribution from across the political aisle, and we continue to incorporate in our legislation representation of the opposition and civil society on statutory bodies. I'm sure today that all parliamentarians were invited to this function, Mr. Speaker. The clerk of the National Assembly can confirm. Let us look whether all the parliamentarians who are invited are here and then ask who is erring in their responsibility. We may do a fact check now, would you like? The appointments, the key public offices, such as that of the Chancellor, the Chief Justice of the Judiciary, and the Commissioner of Police, requires the consent of the leader of the opposition. This consensual mechanism, however, had led to gridlock and frustrated appointments, and there is a lesson to be learned from this. You cannot always legislate political inclusion, cooperation, or consensus. Facts. This is why I believe that much more can and should be done to foster a culture of dialogue and inclusion. Democracy.
Folks, we are privileged to have with us as well MP Ganesh Mahipaul. And of course, you know, MP Ganesh Mahipaul is our shadow for the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. Today, he had a big task, and I'm honored to say that he filled and completed that task with distinction. He had the task of bringing remarks on behalf of the leader of the opposition at the 46th Conference of the Caribbean and the Americas. Let me put it correctly. The 46th Conference of the Caribbean, the Americas, and the Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association under the theme Democracy, Challenges Facing Modern Parliaments. Ganesh, in the Guyana experience, in the Guyana context, like we remember it a little differently. President Ali, who came after you, said several things you might wish to point out this evening, but I want to start with what you said, a very, very comprehensive approach. You never sought to upstage the government in any way, kind of seek any cheap political points here, but laying out a broad framework of how parliamentary democracy is supposed to be working, and especially in the Guyana context. Talk to us about this presentation on behalf of the leader of the opposition, Mr. North.
Thank you, Sherrod, and good night to you and your viewers. Well, this was the international stage, and I had the opportunity, which I was privileged to have, and that was to represent the leader of the opposition to make a presentation. And it is within that context that I sought to capitalize on what I believe should be us moving forward, should be the Caribbean, Americas, and the Atlantic region moving forward in an interest of ensuring that we can represent the people of our respective countries properly, and we can seek to ensure that their interest trumps our own interest, because they are the ones who have elected us and they expect something from us. In the 4 years that I have been a member of parliament, and I'm sure you also, who in the 4 years you have been a member of parliament, would have recognized that parliament is not really serving its intended
It
purpose.
doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So I sought to take the high ground of ensuring that I point out what are the issues that surround our parliament and how we can seek to make changes for the betterment in representing our people for the greater good. And that is exactly what we should be doing. I have seen for too long us having this tit for tat politics, going at each other, one side saying something, the other side saying something else to counter that. And we end up in a battleground of words where we just attack each other. And that is not fair to the people of Guyana. It is not fair to no individual, from irrespective which country, of their representatives fighting against each other. The purpose of us should be representing the interest of our people and move forward in a direction to better their lives, which will in turn better our own lives. And that is what my presentation was centered around. As I said, I attempted to take the high ground and to ensure that we channel our energies in a direction that can positively impact our respective nations. I think, having spoken to a number of delegates and presiding officers and clerks from the other respective regions and countries, they said that they appreciate what was said. They look forward for us to move in such a direction. And they basically gave kudos to the presentation and hope that we can work in that interest. And that made me feel good. I believe that I have accomplished the task. And I hope that it is the stepping stone of us moving in that direction positively.
What did you make of Irfan Ali, the president's presentation, which didn't seem to reflect the reality of this country? We have a parliament here that don't meet often. There is no robust legislative agenda here. There's a parliament that doesn't listen to the opposition. There's no inclusion here. He was citing all of that. We have inclusion here. We have this robust oversight of institutions here by the National Assembly. This is far from the truth.
Well, Sherrod, I knew that I was speaking first, and I knew that Mark Phillips, the Prime Minister, was coming second, and I knew that that would have followed Irfan Ali, the President. So I did not want to go down the road that they went down, and I thought that me being the first speaker would have set the stage for them to also follow suit and take the high ground. But clearly, they are living in the era of fighting against each other. They are living in this era where they want to always say that it's this way and not that way. And the whole barrage of condemnation and dirty politics of the past and not looking forward in a forward thinking manner. Young people in this country and people in general, they are interested in what is it that we can do to better their lives. And you always hear Irfan Ali coming on stage. He has done it a number of times in the past, saying things and going back to the past and what's not. Now, let me make this very
1992, and when they
clear.
came in 92, and
Yeah,
way back, and
and he's telling us about the restoration of democracy. In 1992, I was 3 years old. I am now at a position and a stage in life where all I'm interested in is what do we do as lawmakers? What do we do as policymakers to better the lives of us in this present situation? And how is it that we can impact positively the future generation to come? I am not interested in all that he had to talk about what happened since 1992, 1960, and what's not. But he is doing that to create an impression in the minds of people that he knows the history and he can relate to it. But let me make this point very clear, Sharon. When it comes to the PNC and the PPP, we will always be at loggerhead when it comes to the history of this country. Because from the eyes of how I see it, it is not the same way Irfan sees it clearly. And in the eyes of how he sees it, you may not even see it that way. So we have to decide whether we will continue to as to who is and who is wrong, or will we decide to put the people first and move forward in a direction of focusing on their interest? Today, for example, he was talking about the legitimacy of something. And I could have asked the question, what about the legitimacy of your certificate of qualification? But like I said, the time for us to go down that road is no more. And we have to move forward in the interest of our people. And we have to do it for the sake of this country. We are suffering here as a nation because of this back and forth, because of this fighting, because of this. Of all these scandals, and then you hear about corruption, and then you hear about all of these perception of mistrust and so on. And we have to seek to clean the slate. We have to seek to move forward positively. And I am appealing to lawmakers. I am appealing to politicians. I'm appealing from both sides, my side, your side, the other side. We have to move forward for this country because we are on the cusp of an economic boom because of this oil resource. Yes, we are seeing roads. Yes, we are seeing infrastructure development. I wouldn't say infrastructure improvement because some of the roads that they are building, they are crumbling within 2 to 3
Biscuit
weeks.
roads.
But we are not seeing social upliftment of the population. We are not seeing cases where interest is paid to the population of itself. So, what sense does it make for us to have infrastructure, but at the same time, a complete decline in the morale, in the behavior, in the way people operate when they are providing services to our other people? We have to have a focus on our healthcare service where we can empower our social workers, we can empower healthcare workers, we can empower our teachers, our policemen and women, our nurses, our doctors. All of them need to get that hope that better will come. And all of them need to recognize and appreciate that their leaders are fighting for their interest and what is best for them. And we are not seeing that. We are not sensing it. We are not feeling it. The People's Progressive Party continues to live in the past. They continue to dwell in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. And I can recall a member would have said to Gail Teixeira in the House that if you're going to continue to live in that era, then you need to seek therapy because you're clearly
Up.
enclosed in an arena that is not forward thinking, and you should not be in the House of Assembly representing people when we're talking about the future and moving forward.
Yeah. Point taken, MP Mahipaul. Let's talk about this reality or this experience of Irfan Ali that is not tethered anyway in reality. He talked broadly about democracy, parliamentary democracy being the bedrock of all that we do in our governance experience as nations. He talked about all the wars happening and where the voices that need to be speaking out. Wasn't Irfan Ali the chairman of CARICOM? And we have, for instance, Haiti, in the state that Haiti is in currently. Children are dying. We don't have to go till to the Ukraine. Women are being raped in Haiti. What was Irfan Ali's contribution to peace in Haiti? The CARICOM as a body don't have boots on the ground in Haiti. We've had to bring policemen all the way from Kenya, to police Haiti. What does it say to us and our leadership in the region? And Ganesh, again, if we talk about parliamentary democracy and how robust our parliamentary democracy is, Isn't it the PPP that has Dr. Asha Kisun from the joiner parties sitting in the National Assembly there and refusing to partake in ousting her, sitting there, squatting there on a seat that does not belong to her in any way? Isn't it the Irfan Ali government that knew that Onij Waldron, for instance, was a dual citizen, swore her in as a minister? Isn't it the Irfan Ali government that said that the courts, the high court in this country, that said the Irfan Ali government was unconstitutional, that had the two parliamentary secretaries there squatting? We have seen time and time again where the courts in this country alone have said that this government is unconstitutional in lots of the actions that they've taken. So what is he talking about here?
And I want to add to that, but before I add to it, I was when Irfan said about where are our voices with reference to what is happening in the other countries and so on. I was thinking, where was his voice? He did not speak on it either. And like you said, where was his voice when what was happening in Haiti? Where was his voice? But it is the same Irfan Ali administration that changed the quorum to our Public Accounts Committee, which is the committee that ensures that there is democracy, so to speak, with accountability and transparency. They changed the quorum requirement, which was there since 1957. And I happen to have shared that with some of our parliamentary colleagues from the other countries. And I said to them that he speaks about the opposition chairing the Public Accounts Committee, but what he omitted was to say that his government changed the quorum requirement and the Public Accounts Committee can only meet now if government wants it to meet. And that is something that they keep doing. They keep saying that the opposition is included, but they always dominate with their numbers. They always dominate with that one seat majority that they have. And that is why in my presentation, I asked the question today, where it is that the government is having their complete way, what is the purpose of the parliament? The parliament cannot be an institution that just is there to endorse government policies. It has to be greater than that. And we have to find commonality. We have to find consensus. We have to have bipartisanship where we can demonstrate that all sides are included and they work together for the betterment of the people. The only bill that I can recall for the 4 years we have been there where there was significant bipartisan practice was the single window bill, Sherrod. And you know how much we had to push as a parliamentary opposition to get that bill to go to a special select committee where we made 16, I think, 16 changes and they were accepted and put in the bill. When it came back to the House for its third reading, we were able to stand in unison and say that it was a well thought out and a well hammered out piece of legislation. We can do that for all of our legislations. We can do that for all of our bills because at the end of it all, the beneficiaries are the people of the country. And our parliament must move in that direction of our thinking. We must move in that direction of issue-based arguments. We must move in that direction where the people's interest is the priority as opposed to this tit for tat and who nice, who ugly, who fat, who fine. Those kind of things are not for what our parliament. And the young people of today don't want to hear those kind of arguments. They want to know what is in it for them. How can they benefit? What is it that they can gain out of this level of representation? And that is what we have to do. We have to head in that direction if we intend to rebuild trust, if we intend to strengthen our parliamentary democracy, and if we intend to keep the people involved in current affairs of our country.
Yeah. MP Mahipaul, before I let you go, one gets a sense that some of the antics and some of the rhetoric of the president is meant to distract from the reality. We see the sugar growing sector. The Irfan Ali government was supposed to be desirous on sugar, what they were supposed to make the industry great again. We see a 60.4% contraction in sugar over the last year. Livestock is down 7.8%. Bauxite mining is down 20%. Gold mining has contracted by 10.3%. Is this the kind of transformation this government has been touted on par with the kinds of robust parliamentary democracy Irfan spoke about today?
Well, Irfan and the PPP, they are long known for their practice in distraction politics. They always seek to distract the population from the current affairs and issues that are affecting the nation. So this is nothing strange. And indeed, they're playing distraction politics. But I have oftentimes said, Sherrod, that our nation is more educated now than before. Our people are having information easier than before. Accessibility to the truth is easier now than before. And people themselves can relate to what is happening. 5, 10 years back, people in Berbice and Essequibo were not easily provided with information, so they had to consume what was fed to them by the People's Progressive Party. Now there is a great shift in that, and people are recognizing that indeed the People's Progressive Party have been engaged in distraction politics and is trying to hoodwink them. And they will not sit around and tolerate it. I think the people of Guyana understands that with the advent of oil and the fact that there's so much money that is in the economy, that transformation in terms of our infrastructure and in terms of other means would have happened with or without Irfan Ali. It would have happened with or without the PPP and the PNC. Any government that took office in 2020 would have capitalized on that influx of money. So it is not a PPP accomplishment. So they need to remove that thought from their head. What the people are judging them on, and rightly so, is that what they expected as a nation, as a people, is not what they are getting. They expected, for example, as I said earlier, human capital benefiting from this influx of resources. When you look at the cash grant distribution and the selective nature of how they are plucking people that they term and deem as their favorites to give these cash grants to, many other people feel as though they are being disenfranchised and they're not considered equally among their peers. That is a sad reality. When you look at the construction of these 6 new hospitals that they're boasting, people are also recognizing that they're established health institutions in this country that are punishing for basic maintenance. West Demerara Regional Hospital had rats running on patients. You go into the compound and you see how deplorable it is. You see Priya Manikchan boasting about the construction of new schools, but then equally you're finding out that there are schools that are existing in this country that are still using pit latrine. And you see people putting videos up showing the deplorable conditions of existing schools. So people are recognizing that the influx of the oil money is not utilized to strengthen what we have. And that is a bad on the part of the PPP. And it is not utilized to lift people out of the nightmare they find themselves in. It is not utilized to cushion cost of living. It is not utilized in an equitable manner of distribution so that people can benefit, much to the desire of lifting themselves out of heavy poverty. The country is getting richer with oil resource coming in, with oil money coming in, but its people are getting poorer because the government is not managing the oil resource properly. They are only facilitating their friends, families, and favorites, and by extension, they are making the rich get richer and the poor poorer.
Yeah, excellent. Point taken, MP Ganesh Mahipaul. I want to thank you so much on such short notice. We know we both had a full day, our parliamentary colleagues as well, and those who are visiting us at this 46th Conference of the Caribbean, the Americas, and the Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. It runs all week. I'm looking forward to seeing you back there tomorrow. Ganesh, thank you so much for this time with us at this end.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sherrod, and good night to you and your viewers.
All right, that being said, folks, that being said, Thanks for staying with us a little bit in the overtime this evening. We're going to see you guys right back here tomorrow on our next broadcast. Thanks to each and every one of you. See, we got Joylyn. Thank you, Ganesh Mahipaul, once more for coming by. Joylyn and Ingrid, Vesta Hardy, Rajkumar, Steve Reese on the live tonight. Sandra Hanover is there. Hewley Trackman is there too. Enid Miggins and Maxine Monroe. Auntie Sandra. Have a fantastic rest of the evening, folks. That's it from us to this end. That's our time and that's our program. Monica Jones, Sabrina Blue, Yvette. Stay well, Leslin. We see you too, Edward Brooms and all the other folks. Lone Wolf, Heaven Faith. Stay well. That's our time. That's our program.